little bit more about me. I'm going to be 72 on Earth Day this year. I've got a long history of doing ultra events. In fact, the first time I went in for some supposedly arrhythmic heart condition, which turned out to be nothing. First thing the heart doctor said was, "You're an ultra, aren't you?" And I said, "Yeah, how'd you know that?" He said, "Well, your resting heart rate's 41 and your heart's larger than normal," which I've only seen that in ultra guys, ulties, I like to call. So my resume includes racing on the Race Across America, bicycling 3 times, coaching or crewing for 3 other people that did the Race Across America. I actually won the 2-man relay division of that race in 2003. We cycled from San Diego to Atlantic City in 7 days, 14 hours, and 58 minutes, and beat the next team by some 6 hours, which was pretty cool, given the fact that the second place team, there was a couple of hardcore Army doctors, 30 years old, who the Army sponsored to compete in Ironman competitions. And we beat them by 6 hours. I was 55 at the time, and my co-rider was, I picked this guy because his last name was Goodwin. I figured, how could you lose with a name like Goodwin? He was 42, and it was kind of cool. At the finish line, one of the 2 Ironman Army guys came to me and said, "I can't believe that a little old man wearing sandals kicked my ass in this race." You have to understand, I don't wear shoes when I cycle. I use cycling sandals. So I did that 3 times. I did an additional stage races, 200 miles a day across the U.S. with a company called Pactor that's still in business. And then cycling got a little too dangerous for me because I had several friends killed on the nation's highways or byways, car accidents on the bike. So, I mean, the cell phone was the worst thing that ever happened to cycling, as far as I'm concerned. So I moved off into running and ended up running 41 marathons, 17 of them barefoot. Like I said, I'm not a real big shoe lover. And then I moved into doing triathlons and Ironmans, did Ironman and 3 half Ironmans. And then got bored with that after a while and got into long distance hiking, which is a little bit more benign on the joints. And the thing that always blows me away, and I have no explanation for this, again, I've run 41 marathons, an Ironman, 3 half Ironmans, and various other triathlons. And I've never been injured. Not so much as a sprained ankle or anything. I've never, ever been injured. I have no explanation for that. So, I do distance very well. I'm not the world's fastest person, but I can go a long way. Don't like to take days off. I like to do every mile. And that's basically me in a nutshell. I'm 72 again. Don't see myself slowing down. I can't tell you when the last time I've had a cold. I never get a flu shot. I'm not discouraging you from getting flu shots. I'm just saying my mom and dad gave me one hell of a good immune system. So that's basically who I am. So generally, I hike, at least since retirement in 2015, about 2,500 miles a year. I know how many miles I walk because I retired from Garmin, the fitness watch, among other things, people. I was a software developer for them, and I beta tested a lot of their products for run, bike, and swim and golf, because I do all of those and have for an extended period of time. And I would get the product when they wanted to find out if it was durable, because they knew I beat the shit out of stuff. So, in last year was a bad year because it's a year of COVID. 3 of my hikes got canceled, so I only ended up 2,000 miles, but I intend to make it up this year. Bottom line is, I just like to hike. Over the years of hiking mainly in Europe, Germany and Spain to be exact, I've come up with a couple of hiking principles. Number one is you never talk politics or religion to anybody. But more importantly, on my first Camino, 500 miles from Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port to Santiago and then on to Finisterre on the coast and Mysia, I learned that a principle that I got from Abraham Lincoln, who once said, you know, I don't like that man. I need to get to know him better. And that's basically been my approach in people on trails. I've had people who the second sentence out of their mouth has been, I think Trump's going to be the greatest president on earth, which would turn off a lot of people, and I wasn't too happy with it, mainly because he wants to talk politics on the Camino, which is inappropriate as far as I'm concerned. But I got to know the guy, and it turns out we have a lot of interests, and we became pretty good friends. Although I must say he was pretty well ostracized by the rest of the group, particularly the equally obnoxious left-wing leaning people who want to express their opinions. So, open up to people. The other principle I've learned that I try to hike by, if I can gather my breath and think about it, is that I like to meet, I have a goal of getting to know at least 2 people a day, people I haven't met before. Sometimes when you hike in the middle of nowhere and Via de la Plata, for example, in Spain, it goes through a desert, and you don't see many pilgrims or hikers out there. It's a little hard, but I generally have adhered to that. And to do that, I like to take the Larry King approach. Larry King once said, I never learned anything talking. So I like to ask questions, and one of the questions I like to ask is, tell me something you think I don't know that you think I should know. And it doesn't have to be about you, just if you've got some interesting fact that you've been thinking about, whether it may even be a conspiracy theory, that's fine. I'd like to hear your reasonings for it. And that's served me pretty well, so I'm looking forward to meeting a lot of interesting hikers on the AT. So also in terms of gear, I'm taking a Dagger 2-man or duplex tent. I do have a Marmo, I actually have several tents. I have a Marmo 1-man tent that I used quite a bit in Europe, and I used it hiking through up Mount Massive, 4-Pass Loop, and Conundrum last year in Colorado. I like that tent because it's, number one, I know it's waterproof because it's been through some major storms. But if I'm going so far for so many days and I don't see me using shelters very much, I like the extra space. So I'm going to take the Dagger 2. It's about right around a little over 2 pounds, and I'm fine with that. I'll take the weight for the comfort. So that's my tent. What else have I got? Yeah, I'm using a jet boil. I know most people think that's too heavy, but I just really like the speed of the thing. I mean, when I want coffee, I want it now. And so I'm taking a jet boil. I may send it home and get something else in transit, but right now I'm taking a jet boil. I'm comfortable with it. It works. And so it's a go. What else? Clothing I won't get into. I'm a real believer in saving money and just going down to Goodwill and buying out their fleece and merino wool collection, because when I've hiked in Europe in the past, I've left a lot of expensive gear, clothing in hostels, either by choice or because I forgot it. fact, my first night, my first Camino 4 years ago, left a pretty expensive shirt, which I'm still irritated about, plain rookie stupidity. So, you know, merino wool is merino wool. No matter where you buy it, it's going to be the same. I don't like spending a lot of money for it, and I think most people who do the AT have that same feeling. So keep it simple. A little bit more about my gear. My backpack is an REI Flash 65. I don't think they make it anymore. It's discontinued. For a while there, it was a real deal. You can get it for 95 bucks. It's a 65 liter. And the thing I like about it is it's extremely durable. I've got well over 8,000 miles around the world on it. And once I dropped it off of the German Alps near Zugspitze, the highest peak in Germany, dropped it about 50 feet off a cliff, fully loaded, and thought, shit, I'm going to have problems now. Went down and picked it up, and it was like nothing happened. So it's very durable. It's got pockets everywhere. Pockets in the front, a special pocket for your rain gear that fits everything in there nicely. It's just really comfortable, and it adjusts in so many ways. You can adjust it down to a squat little bag if you need to, or a real elongated bag if you want it thin. I mean, it's just really extremely adjustable. So one of my approaches in my gear list is generally, if you have two functions, if you can do two things, you get invited. If you're single use, you stay home. So for example, I use a rather large and a bit heavy. It's about 6/10 of a pound. I use an Elsa parka that's very popular in Europe on the Camino. I think the only place you can really buy it is in Spain. But it's nice because it's full length. It goes down to below your knees. Has a zipper up front so you can vent really well, and it has some really nice vents in the back. It'll cover your 65 liter bag, which is great, so I don't have to take a separate rain shield for the pack. Probably going to take it anyways because I like redundancy. But the parka serves also as my ground cloth or tent fly, so it has dual purpose. My tent, you might say, hey, you're going to leave that at home? It only has a single use. Well, that's wrong. I mean, I can use a tent when the temps get really low. If I want to stay in a shelter, it can serve as a tarp. So it also has a dual use. And so on. Just about everything I carry has multiple uses.